Hello and welcome to Nutshell Recaps. This video explains the synopsis of the movie, I Spit on Your Grave. Warning, there will be spoilers, so proceed with caution. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, it will really help our channel grow. Novelist Jennifer Hills, originally from New York City, goes to Louisiana to work on her second book. To obtain the keys to the cabin she will be staying at, she makes a stop at a shop en route. She receives the keys to the shop from a man named Earl, who also gives her directions. Jennifer says she is traveling, so she may have some peace of mind while she writes. Jennifer stops at a petrol station to ask for assistance after becoming lost on the route there. She runs into Johnny, one of the attendants, there, and he shows her where to go. When Johnny tries to approach Jennifer, she frightens him by accidentally hitting her panic button. His buddies Stanley and Andy make fun of him after he spills a pail of liquid. Johnny looks very embarrassed as Jennifer leaves. Jennifer finally reaches the cabin, which will serve as her home for the next few months, after a lengthy drive. She starts unpacking her things right away, eager to experience a new setting. After spending days working on her manuscript, Jennifer unwinds by the lake the following day. Although she hears strange noises, she ignores them. But the sounds keep happening, and she becomes nervous. When Jennifer crosses the adjoining shed to investigate, she discovers only poisonous bottles there. After unintentionally spilling her drink on her clothes, she heads to the kitchen to get the stain cleaned up. There, an unidentified individual is surreptitiously recording her in her pants. She finds an abandoned cabin while out for a jog in the woods the next day. Jennifer comes in to see what's within out of curiosity. She carries on with her day, though not finding anything intriguing. She finds that her toilet and wash basin are clogged when she gets home, and Matthew, the plumber, advises her to call. His stuttering speech is caused by a mental illness he has. Jennifer is thrilled when Matthew solves the issue in her lavatory and quickly plants a kiss on him. The bashful Matthew blushes momentarily and bolts outside as a result. Andy, Stanley, and Johnny hang out in the woods and like killing birds. Stanley captures the cruelty on camera because he is passionate about capturing odd events. Soon later, Matthew shows in and tells the group that Jennifer kissed him. Before revealing a video of her in knickers, Stanley reassures Johnny that it is true, but Johnny doesn't believe him. Jennifer is still troubled by the eerie noises she hears around the house at nightfall. She discovers nothing else outside her door, but for the sight of a dead bird. When she comes back inside, the group photo of the boys she met a few days earlier is on her laptop. She first notices that they are inside after giving it a horrified glance. Jennifer is terrified as a result of the collective taunting by Johnny, Stanley, and Andy. Stanley calls Matthew, and Johnny drags him inside so he could also participate in their scheme. As the leader, Johnny initiates the group into threatening and letting Jennifer drink. When she refuses, Johnny becomes more agitated, leaving her no choice but to abide by his orders. He then asks Jennifer to show him her teeth and pulls her closer. With a sensuous gesture, Johnny takes out a gun and puts it in Jennifer's lips. With booze in hand, Andy approaches her and performs the same action as Johnny makes Matthew watch. Jennifer musters the guts to strike Andy on the knee before dousing Stanley in pepper spray. She is able to rush to safety and escape into the woods thanks to it. Jennifer and Earl run into the local sheriff, Storch. Jennifer tells the two men about the recent assault she was the victim of while crying. By displaying his credential and assuring her that she is now in capable hands, Storch helps her to relax. Earl is told to return home by the sheriff, who says he will take Jennifer back to the cabin. Shortly after, Storch and Jennifer head back to the cabin to address the gathering. As he searches the cabin for them, he boldly shouts them out. When Storch looks around the scene, he discovers Jennifer's joint and a broken bottle of booze. Despite Jennifer's cries for assistance, he starts questioning her as though she is not a victim. He asserts that she has no authority to level unfounded allegations against the men he has known since they were little. Then, as he pats Jennifer down, Storch tells her to face the window. But as the boys walk in, he touches her inappropriately, exposing Storch as the group's accomplice. Storch tells Jennifer to get on her knees as he aims a shotgun at her. As he gives Matthew the command to take down his trousers, Johnny scoops her up. With 5 cold-blooded guys, Jennifer is currently, to put it mildly, defenseless. Her survival depends on it. Stanley captures the entire event on camera as Matthew starts to push Jennifer till he is happy. Jennifer musters her strength and leaves the cabin despite her weakness. She finds the group again after venturing more into the woods, where she is met with even more hardships. Andy pulls Jennifer up to a puddle and repeatedly puts her head in. Despite her begs for compassion, Storch pulls off his pants and forces himself on her while she lies on the ground. Jennifer awakens and discovers she is now coated in dirt after the men take turns hitting her. Jennifer stands up once more and heads farther into the forest, hoping to find some actual assistance. Remaining insane from the ordeal she has endured, she arrives to the bridge with the 5 guys persistently pursuing her. As Storch is ready to shoot Jennifer, she lets herself fall into the river and disappears. The group looks for her, but they are unable to locate her body. Alternatively, they erase any surviving evidence, including Stanley's recordings. Following the exciting day, Storch goes home, where he is greeted by his wife, Chastity, and daughter. As if nothing happened, he spends the night at home without any remorse for his actions. The next day, Storch stops by Earl's shop to return the keys to the cabin, saying that Jennifer left without notice. Weeks pass, and the group goes on with their lives as if nothing happened. Apart from the rest, Matthew is the only one that feels remorse and spends most of his time in the woods. He had a vision of Jennifer one day, giving him a ghostly look. Terrified, Matthew closes his eyes and believes Jennifer is following him. Andy and Johnny notice Stanley running towards them as they have a few drinks together. He tells the voice that his camera has been taken, sounding worried, and then admits that he kept the contentious recording. After Stanley puts them in danger, Johnny loses it and begins beating Stanley up. When Johnny goes outside after hearing noises outside his house that evening, he discovers a dead bird on the porch. He gives it a go and then goes back inside. He hears it again when he returns inside and pulls a rifle. He is shocked to find the dead bird, with no idea who killed it, lying on his porch once more. Johnny hears it once more and goes outside to find Jennifer's shoe on the porch. He makes an unsuccessful attempt to follow the sound. As all is going on, Storch gets home to find out that his wife has delivered a parcel. He is relieved that neither his wife nor daughter had seen one of Stanley's tapes when, to his surprise, he discovers one. Scared to see him, the party hastily drives off to meet with Storch. Storch attacks Stanley right away, believing that he is pulling a practical joke on him. Johnny displays the slipper to protect his pal since he believes Matthew is the one who is in charge of everything. While hunting, Storch shoots Earl after giving him a bottle of whiskey. The reason for this is that Earl, who witnessed Storch escorting Jennifer back to the cabin, is one of the unresolved questions surrounding the crime. Matthew goes back to the lodge to think about what he did, still bothered by his visions. He enters after hearing Jennifer's voice suddenly calling out to him. Ultimately, he tumbles down the steps and loses consciousness. As he comes to, he sees Jennifer sitting on the couch in real life. He continuously apologizes for what he did to Jennifer and extends an invitation to sit next to her. Matthew sobs and clings to her as he is overcome with guilt. After soothing and calming him down, Jennifer tightens a rope around his neck. Despite struggling to breathe, Matthew apologizes repeatedly. Jennifer responds that this is insufficient. The team decides to search for Matthew in the woods after some evidence turns up again. Andy and Stanley look for him for a few minutes before finding him in an abandoned cottage. Stanley stays outside to look for any indications of Matthew while Andy comes in. He is startled to see Jennifer standing across from him and grinning. Stanley yells for Andy, who is struck by a bat, and steps on a bear trap that she set up as he moves closer to her. They both pass out when Jennifer strikes Stanley as well. After a while, Jennifer uses his camera to record Stanley while tying him to a tree. He throws up as she thrusts a dead rodent into his mouth. Then Jennifer positions the camera and uses fishhooks to keep his eyes open. Jennifer disembowels a fish and covers Stanley's face with its insides while filming him. A multitude of crows are drawn to the smell of the fish guts and start pecking him. He eventually bleeds to death as the birds devour his eyeballs. Andy, meanwhile, awakens in the dilapidated cabin, strapped to a few boards over a bathtub. Jennifer walks in to see how he's doing, but the water in the tub keeps rising. Andy begs her to let him go, but she is certain to subject him to the same ordeal she endured. Jennifer immerses his head in the water several times before adding some lye and taking out a plank. Andy is forced to use all of his might to hold himself up, but in the end, his body crashes into the sea. As a result, Andy finally suffers death from burns to his face. The next day, Jennifer pays a visit to Johnny's workplace, the neighborhood petrol station. She attacks him as soon as he approaches, luring him in with her short skirt. She takes him back to the cabin as part of her plan to get her revenge on him. Upon regaining consciousness, Johnny discovers that he is naked and bound to the ceiling. His suffering starts when Jennifer uses pliers to extract each of his teeth one at a time, forcing him to acknowledge his errors. Jennifer pulls a gun, much like he did to her, and shoves it into Johnny's lips. He does, however, manage to giggle, which aggravates Jennifer even more. She trims Johnny's private part with hedge clippers and shoves it into his mouth. He yells in fear and finally passes out from bleeding. At last, Jennifer has reached her final objective, Storch. Chastity's teacher is at their house, according to a call the sheriff gets from his family. When Storch hears Jennifer's greeting over the phone, he is left stunned. He swiftly returns home out of worry for his family, only to discover that Chastity brought Jennifer along. Storch finds his daughter still hidden away from him as he approaches an empty playground. As his fears begin to overwhelm him, he flees back to the police vehicle, where Jennifer renders him comatose. When he wakes up, a firearm has been thrust inside of him, and he is inside the cabin. Jennifer tells about how nice Chastity is and how he could stomach attacking a lady, all without showing any sympathy. The sheriff is in excruciating pain as a result of her pushing the rifle farther. Jennifer tells us that Matthew is still alive, but he is unconscious across the room. Matthew's wrist is bound with a string that is connected to the trigger. If he moves, it will kill both men. At this point, Storch desperately begs for his life, but Jennifer completely ignores him. Unbothered by his cries, Jennifer walks out of the cabin, patiently waiting for the situation to take its turn. Matthew eventually wakes up, urging Storch to calm him down. However, Matthew's mental incapacity causes him to panic and unknowingly pull the trigger, ending their lives. When Jennifer realizes she has received her retribution outside, she smiles a little in celebration. Jennifer was put through the worst kind of torment a woman could ever conceive, yet she didn't let the men win. She decided the males should suffer the consequences, so she took matters into her own hands. Every man endured agony that was comparable to what they inflicted on Jennifer throughout the narrative. Jennifer ultimately used her suffering to gain power.